These are 5 idiots that messed with the wrong cartels. And first up, we have this man called Erik Tadeo Ramirez, who thought it was wise to boast about his theft from most dangerous drugs cartel from Mexico without considering the heavy consequence that lurked in the darkness. Erik was overheard discussing with a woman about his heist of more than $50,000 from the notorious Cartel Del Noreste. How audacious is he robbing a cartel? Isn't it absolutely reckless? Unfortunately, what transpired next altered his life's trajectory. This Texas man lived in Laredo prior to the incident. He had become the center of a dreadful ordeal after allegedly bragging about stealing a large sum of money from the Cartel Del Noreste. This ill-advised boasting eventually resulted in a response that Erik could not have anticipated. The cartel was a formidable and feared criminal organization in the Laredo region, with a reputation no one wanted to challenge. However, this did not deter our imbecile from his endeavors. This cartel, known for its brutal tactics and vast influence, saw Erik Ramirez's actions as a threat to their power and authority, and they vowed vengeance. On that fateful day, as the party was winding down, Erik made a dumb move by bragging about his stolen tactics from the Cartel Del Noreste to an unknown woman. What he didn't know was that that exact woman had connections within the cartel, so she immediately gave them a sign. And when the news reached the cartel's ears, they reacted quickly, as if they had merely waited for a pawn to come along. Within 2 hours of his boasting, a gang of armed men allegedly linked with the Cartel Del Noreste arrived at his location, assaulted him, and kidnapped him. Though authorities did their best to find him, but to no avail, this scene served as a sobering reminder of the cartel's rapid and harsh retaliation against anybody who dared to cross them. That's a harsh revenge, right? But if this sounds crazy, let me tell you about this smuggler, since his story was even crazier. His name is Barry Seal, a man who stupidly believed he could betray the Medellin cartel and yet live in peace. Isn't this just playing with fire? This drug smuggler was once involved in the drug trade with the Medellin cartel before switching sides and joining the law enforcement, a move that the cartel did not take lightly. Regrettably, this hasty decision had turned his life into a ticking bomb. Born in Baton Rouge, Seal's flight talent became evident at an early age, as he earned his student pilot certificate at 16 and his private pilot certificate at 17. His skills propelled him to become one of the top flight engineers at Transworld Airlines. But in 1978, enticed by the lucrative cocaine trade, he turned to smuggling, where he caught the eye of the Medellin cartel, which hired him as their exclusive pilot. With each flight transporting cocaine from Colombia to the United States, he effortlessly pocketed $500,000. However, his wealth attracted unwanted attention from the DEA. While operating in Florida, Seal encountered the state's drug enforcement unit, who charged him with possession and distribution of methaqualone. Instead of remaining loyal to the cartel, Seal chose to cooperate with them, becoming a DEA informant. However, the Medellin cartel could not easily be betrayed. With its broad connections, the cartel discovered that there was a mole in their organization. After further inquiries, it was determined that Seal was a DEA agent. This outcome infuriated the cartel, causing them to strike a deal to capture him dead or alive. Upon receiving this news, Barry decided to seek refuge with the cops until everything calmed down. Unfortunately, his fate was already sealed. On the evening of February 19, 1986, Barry Seal was shot to death in front of the Salvation Army Center 3 weeks into his probation. When he arrived at the center's lot and parked, a man got out of a car behind the center's donation drop boxes and opened fire with a suppressed MAC-10 submachine gun. He was hit 6 times and died almost instantly. However, such incidents are becoming increasingly common nowadays. But if you believe Barry had a terrible end, wait until I tell you the next story of this man, whose fate exceeded that brutality. His name is Manuel de Dios Unanue, a journalist who believed he could challenge one of Colombia's most vicious cartels and escape unharmed. Can you fathom the audacity required to provoke that kind of force? Is it pure bravery or a stunning display of stupidity? They're called the Cali Cartel, and the 49-year-old Manuel had thoughtlessly launched an anti-drug magazine station that revealed their secrets. Unfortunately, his decision prompted the cartel to see him as a threat that needed to be dealt with. Born in Camagüey, Cuba, Manuel and his family voluntarily departed from Castro's Cuba, initially settling in Spain, before making their way to Puerto Rico. He gained prominence after pursuing a master's in criminology, then relocating to New York, where he became a member of the committee at 75. With this experience, he went to work as a chief editor at El Diario La Prensa, New York City's largest Spanish-language daily newspaper, where he used to publish publications such as Secrets of the Medellin Cartel that covered the identities of the Colombian drug lords. However, Manuel did not stop there. He also released 2 more books, Cambio 21 and Crimen, which garnered the attention of the Cali cartel because they contained information about their illicit activities, as well as the names of its leaders and associates. This move enraged the cartel, and they swore revenge. Notorious for its secrecy and ruthless tactics, they perceived Manuel's actions as a direct challenge to their power and authority. This prompted them to devise a plan to punish him once and for all. On March 11, 1992, Manuel's actions caught up with him as he sat at the bar of the Maison Asturias restaurant in Queens, New York. Without warning, he was approached from behind and shot twice in the head, resulting in his immediate demise. The shooter is called Wilson Alejandro Mejia Velez, and while he pulled the trigger, it was evident that he was acting on behalf of the Cali cartel, especially given the circumstances surrounding Manuel's anti-drug magazine publication. Imagine a mere magazine costing one's life. Isn't this crazy? However, as crazy as it sounds, the next story is even crazier. Meet Hipólito Mora, who stupidly dared to confront the formidable Knights Templar cartel, leading a group of farmers and ranchers in their fight against its oppression. But isn't this akin to challenging a fortress with mere stones? The Knights Templar cartel, angered by his operations, vowed vengeance on him and his allies. Sadly, what awaited him was far from a straightforward confrontation. Born in La Ruana on July 26, 1955, Hipólito Mora Chavez grew up amid the serene landscape of Michoacán, Mexico. However, beneath the peaceful appearance of his community lurked a deadly reality, a relentless grip of the Knights Templar cartel. As a farmer, Mora Chavez experienced the first-hand cartel's oppression as they seized control of the local lime trade, subjecting the community to kidnappings and extortion. Faced with the indifference of authorities, Mora Chavez took matters into his own hands. In a bold defiance, he rallied his fellow townsfolk and formed a vigilante self-defense group to combat the cartel's reign of terror. Their courageous resistance caught the cartel off guard, as Mora Chavez's group waged a relentless battle, refusing to yield to the intimidation tactics of their oppressors. However, the Knights Templar cartel was not ready to halt their actions there. They attempted to send a clear message, one that Hipólito Mora initially brushed off, but tragedy struck when they ruthlessly assassinated his son. Undeterred, Hipólito Mora found a renewed determination, leveraging the might of his vigilante group to push back against the cartel's lingering influence. This prompted the Medellin cartel to escalate their efforts to put an end to his resistance. Believing in the strategy of cutting off the problem at its roots, the cartel orchestrated a deadly ambush on June 29, 2023, in La Ruana. Hipólito Mora, accompanied by his 3 bodyguards, fell prey to unidentified assailants who intercepted their vehicles, unleashing a hail of gunfire and ultimately setting Mora's vehicle ablaze. Though the identity of the perpetrators remained unverified, the implications were clear. Who else could be responsible but the cartel? However, as bizarre as it seems, the next story will be the craziest of all, as I saved the best for last. This man, named Barney Harris, was a misguided soul who dared to tangle with the Mexican drug cartel, naively thinking he could emerge unscathed from such a perilous gamble. But alas, his actions were nothing short of a recipe for disaster. It dawned on us that he had brazenly attempted to steal from a cartel stronghold, a flagrant violation of the cartel norms. Regrettably, Barney's actions ultimately sealed his fate. Barney Harris was more than just a coach. He was a community icon, revered by both his students and colleagues. However, beneath his layer of respectability laid a darker side, one intertwined with the lethal allure of drug trafficking. Little did his devoted students know that their mentor's double life would lead to a clash with the Jalisco New Generation Cartel, a formidable cartel feared for its cruelty and strength. The cartel's anger stemmed from Barney's audacious attempt to rob one of their stash houses, driven by greed and a misguided sense of adventure. With his brother-in-law, Stephen Alexander Stewart, Barney boldly ventured into the heart of dangerous cartel territory, fueled by dreams of fortune and adventure. However, their poorly thought-out scheme swiftly fell apart when they came face-to-face with Alonso Beltran L., a member of the cartel who became entangled in their insatiable desire for wealth. Frustrated by Alonso's refusal to cooperate, Barney and Stephen resorted to violence, sealing their fate with a fatal gunshot. A scene of chaos unfolded as members of the cartel swarmed in, unleashing a hail of bullets that claimed Barney's life in a tragic twist of fate. Despite Barney's attempt to protect himself with a bulletproof vest, it proved futile against the merciless barrage of ammunition.